Gopi Jannavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Ich habe ein bisschen Hals. Darum kann ich nicht so lange singen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Preshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay. Aber Englisch sprechen ja auch nicht alle. Ja, okay, na dann spreche ich Englisch. Okay, I speak English, and I need the English text also. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 1, the descendants of the daughters of Manu. Ja, so Chandra. So we don't have a book. Why is no book? Doch, gibt schon Kanto 4, nur hier, nicht hier. Ja. Okay. But we start with text 16. Ja, I don't know why. But hier, oben steht 16 bis 20. Ja, das chanten wir uns das an, okay. Gut. Hä? What's going on here? I press once back and it jumps to 15. How come? Oh, okay, one second. Now I have it. Okay, Viduruvacha Atriya Grihe Surashreshta Stityutpatyanta Hetavaha Kinchit Chikir Shavo Chata Etat Akyahi Me Guru. After hearing this, warum habt ihr 16 bis 20 angeschrieben? Ich verstehe es nicht. Aber warum? Aber warum 16? Warum jeden Tag haben wir einen Vers, warum 16 bis 20? Da ist eine Erläuterung. Aber da ist eine Erläuterung bei 16. So, after hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "My dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni?" Purport. The inquisitiveness of Vidura was quite fitting, for he understood that when the Supersoul, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva all appeared through the person of Anasuya, the wife of Atri Muni, there must have been some great purpose. Otherwise, why should they have appeared in such a way? 17. Maitreya Uvacha Brahmana Chotita Shrishtav Atriya Brahma Vidam Varaha Saha Patnya Yaya Friksham Kuladrim Tapasi Stitaha. Maitreya said, when Lord Brahma ordered Atri Muni to create generations, after marrying Anasuya, Atri Muni and his wife went to perform severe austerities in the valley of the mountain known as Riksha. Text 18. Tasmin prasuna stabaka pala shoka kanane varbi sravat vir utgushte nirvindyaya samantataha. In that mountain valley flows a river named Nirvindya. On the bank of the river are many ashoka trees and other plants full of palasha flowers, and there's always the sweet sound of water flowing from a waterfall. The husband and wife reached that beautiful place. Text 19. Pranayamena sangyamya mano varsha shatam munihi atishtat ekapadena nirdvandvo nilabhujanaha. There the great sage concentrated his mind by the yogic breathing exercises and thereby controlling all attachment. He remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air, and stood there on one leg for 100 years. Text 20. Sharanam tang prapadyeham ya eva jagat ishvaraha brajam atma samam mayam parayachat iti chintayan. Okay. Braucht ihr das Buch? Dann nimm's her. Okay, you can chant. Someone can chant? Yes. Sharanam tan prapadyeham Für Englisch brauche ich nicht. Okay, Sharanam, taking shelter. Tam, unto him. Prapadye, surrender. Aham, I. Yaha, one who. Eva, certainly. Jagat Ishvaraha, Master of the universe. Brajam, Son. Atma Samam, like himself. Mayam, unto me. Parayachatu, let him give. Iti, thus. Chintayan, thinking. Translation: He was thinking, may the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. Purport: It appears that the great sage Atri Muni had no specific idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he must have been conversant with the Vedic information that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the creator of the universe, from whom everything emanated, who maintains this created manifestation, and in whom the entire manifestation is conserved after dissolution. Yatova imani bhutani, Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1.1. The Vedic mantras give us information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Atri Muni concentrated his mind upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, even without knowing his name, just to beg from him a child, exactly on his level. This kind of devotional service, in which knowledge of God's name is lacking, is also described in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that 4 kinds of men with backgrounds of pious activities come to him asking for what they need. Atri Muni wanted a son exactly like the Lord, and therefore he is not supposed to have been a pure devotee, because he had a desire to be fulfilled, and that desire was material. Although he wanted a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this desire was material, because he did not want the personality of Godhead himself, but only a child exactly like him. If he had desired the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his child, he would have been completely free of material desires, because he would have wanted the Supreme Absolute Truth, but because he wanted a similar child, his desire was material. Thus Atri Muni cannot be counted among the pure devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Kinanjana Shalakaya Chakshumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangong Langayate Girim Yat Kripadamang Vande Shri Gurundinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manopestam Stapitam Yena Putale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna. Yeah, we hear here an interesting story. Bhagavatam is full of stories to make it easier for us to learn about Krishna. And in the form of stories, it's simply easier, right? It's an easier way of being attentive than having straight information. So we hear here about a son of Brahma, whose name was Atri. So Brahma created different sons out of his mind, and one of them was Atri. So he was a very, very powerful personality. He's not a normal person, right? He's very special. Actually, all the personalities we hear in Bhagavatam are very different than us, even though sometimes they are criticized. Like Prabhupada criticizes here also Atri, so we might say, just some guy, you know. But he is very powerful, right? He's very powerful, son of Brahma. But he was not powerful in bhakti. So that's why Prabhupada, as a pure bhakta, criticizes, or he views all characters in the Bhagavatam from the standpoint of bhakti. So, and from that point of view, some are just not powerful, not interesting, not to be glorified even, right? They are not viewed according to the material qualities or powers. But when we look, and so sometimes we might think, they are just irrelevant. But from a material point of view, they are very relevant, and that should be understood. Prabhupada is not abolishing them in that sense. It's just saying, from a bhakti point of view, which is our main viewpoint, this is what we want to learn from the Bhagavatam. What is bhakti? How does it work? And how does it not work if someone doesn't have it, so to say? From that point of view, he criticizes, but we should never make the mistake to criticize, actually, from another point of view, the personalities in the Bhagavatam, especially demigods. It's an offense. Demigods should not be criticized, because we somehow, when we are immature, we fall into this trap of thinking, they are just, irrelevant, not important, they are not the supreme, and when they are not the supreme, then we can even criticize them or think them insignificant or think them lower than ourselves, which is most of the time not the case, right? And this is also one of the offenses against the holy name. to think the demigods either independent of the Lord or to not understand their relationship to the Lord. Or let's say like this, to either think them to be the Lord or to think them, how to say, irrelevant. But they have some function in the universe, and Krishna gave them this function and empowered them. So, as I said, Atri Muni is a very powerful personality, very, very powerful. As we see here, what was he doing? He wanted to have a son. Very often this is the case that we hear that some powerful personality wants to have a son. So what are they doing? They want to have the power and blessings to have a good son. Why to have a good son actually? Because if there is a desire for children, if there is some desire for material enjoyment, then you need a good child to actually help you to become free from material desires and also to take on your responsibilities that you can in the end focus on Krishna. So a son is very, very important. Actually, the first child should be a son, it said. Second can be a girl, but first should be a son. Because he will take on your responsibility of taking over your family, actually. Starting even with your wife. Because it said the son, he will take care of his mother when she's old. Because the man is supposed to be engaged in spiritual service. Right? In spiritual activity. And so the son is very important because he's my ticket out. He's my ticket out. In Sanskrit, this son is called Putra. Everyone knows what Putra means, right? Putra, huh? But what does it mean? Putra. Prabhupada explains tra, like in mantra, means to deliver, free. And put is hell. He delivers you from hell. Because if you somehow or other fall into even hell or bad circumstances, the son, if he's educated and if you have brought him up nicely, he's a spiritual person, and through his power, you get benefits. Like we hear very often, like Prahlad Maharaj, he could deliver his whole lineage in the past and in the future because he was so powerful. But especially it said the Putra, the son, will do sacrifice. Yagyas also to help you in case you will end up in hell, to get you out of there. So Putra means that. So he will be doing so many wonderful things that Krishna recognizes that and says, oh, he was your son, even you were a rascal, maybe. But it's difficult if you're a rascal, the son becomes good. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. But in general, the son, he will do wonderful things. From the spiritual point of view. And from the material point of view, he will take on over your responsibilities. Take care of your business, like take care of your family, take care of your wife. Because in old age, as I said, she needs care. Woman needs care. In all stages of her life, she needs care and protection. Prabhupada explains in the childhood, a girl is protected by the father. When she's grown up, she's protected by her husband. And when she's old, she's protected by her son. Yeah, so son is very important, actually. It's very important. Let's say helpful, right? So that's why the kings were always, I want to have a son. And in the Bhagavatam, so often we find incidences where mainly the king, most of the time a king, wants to have a son, and if he cannot get one, it's a problem. Like with King Chitraketu, that's one good example. But also sages, actually, like Kardama Muni, want to have a son. But interesting, he had girls before. Why did he have girls before? Because they were enjoying. Prabhupada explains, if there is a lot of enjoying spirit, you get girl. And if there is not so much enjoyment, you get a boy. Yeah, this is the rule. You have to see how to adjust it, but this is said, right? I could go into details, but I will not. What? Yeah. Yeah, that's a point. But as I said, I don't want to go into detail of Garbage and Samskara, technical details. Even though Prabhupada mentions a couple of them, but not too many. So in these sages also, if there is a desire for children, you want to have the best child possible. And this is what in modern society we don't know, because there is no spiritual understanding. Yeah? So they don't know how to do it properly. They try to raise them nicely, as good as they can, all that. Not in all cases. We have very bad examples also, unfortunately, nowadays. But in Vedic society, this was a science, to do everything right to get a nice child. And one of the main things was the preparation, the spiritual preparation. Prabhupada made it very simple. He said 15 rounds of Hare Krishna. But this is already, of course, very powerful, and you could say it's enough if you chant very good rounds. If you chant really good rounds, you don't have to do anything else but that, more or less. This is the spiritual preparation. But we see that many devotees, they do some more spiritual preparation. Maybe sometimes years in advance. The Grihastas, they say, okay, we want to marry, we'll have children, not now maybe, so we prepare and we make some certain vrata until we beget a child. Sometimes for years, some special chanting, meditation, some renunciation, just to please Krishna. Yeah. And we see this also with these sages. Most of the time, what are they doing? They go, even with their wives, to some special place, and they do austerities. Like Prachetas also. Prachetas were a very good example for that also. They were going just for this purpose to these places and did austerity to get a nice child. And then they get powerful children. Powerful children. So Atri Muni, he went with his wife, Anasuya, together to a certain place in a valley, which was a very beautiful place. And there was a river and everything was wonderful. A wonderful scenic situation. Scenic, is this a word? Scenery? Scenic or scenery? Scenic, yeah. Scenic. Yeah, scenic atmosphere, very beautiful. It said they heard some nice birds, nice flowers were growing. In general, sometimes we hear this descriptions of special places in the nature, and all the flowers are described. The names of the flowers are mentioned, or we have no clue what it is. And sometimes we just read over all these names, but we could just imagine how beautiful it must be actually. Because nature is beautiful, can be very beautiful, very, very, how to say, refreshing to be in and very inspiring. Nice trees, nice birds, nice plants. You see, wow, it looks good, it feels good, it smells good. So very sattvic atmosphere. And there he started doing his renunciation. And his wife was helping him. She was supporting him. She did everything around. He could focus on his yagya, and she supported him. Very often we hear that. The wife of a brahmana or a powerful person, she takes care of all the needs so that he can focus on Krishna. This is also one of the principles Prabhupada mentioned. Of course, women should also do spiritual practice. It should not be misunderstood. But it's said that the man should focus on God and the wife should focus on the husband. That is actually makes a very peaceful life. And there we have the conflict nowadays, of course, when the wife says, but I also want to focus on God. Of course, you can also focus on God. No problem. But the husband should not suffer in that sense. If he's a good husband. If he's a rascal husband, she should not care about, she can focus on God. But if he's a good husband, she will get the same benefit, maybe even more, if she focuses on the husband than on God. Because he's a devotee. We should worship more the devotee than God. We should worship the Guru, the Vaishnavas. Krishna says, the worship of my devotee is more important to me than worship of myself. So if the husband is a devotee, the wife can completely serve him like she would serve Krishna, no problem. And she will get the same benefit. That she gets half of the benefit, his spiritual benefit. Half of he has to share then. Oh no, don't serve me. I want to keep it for myself. No, he should be generous. No problem. You get all the benefit. You are dedicated, loyal, wonderful wife. And we have many examples in Shastra about that. How the ladies get huge benefit. Huge benefit by that. So, and also, a big difference, but nowadays, a big difference to today is that at that time, the spiritual practice was very intense, which the wife couldn't do anyway. Like we hear here, what was he doing? He was standing on one leg. He did pranayama, it said before, he did pranayama. He was standing on one leg, means he controlled his breath up to the point of no breathing. He did intense austerity, standing on one leg for a long time. In general, the woman cannot do such things. The spiritual practice, what we have now, no problem. Women can do that, men can do that, because we couldn't do that anyways. In Kali Yuga, men are anyway also fallen. Yeah? The difference between man and woman in Kali Yuga is not so big anymore. It's not that there's no difference, of course. It's not complete the same. This is nonsense. But the difference is not so big as in these other ages. Right? So in that sense, it's not that women should not get initiation anyway. You know? Traditionally, woman doesn't need initiation. She doesn't need a guru. She has a husband. In general, a woman does not need initiation. Because she has a husband who is a devotee, who is her guru. Right? So she doesn't need initiation. This was all for the man. He was strengthened in a spiritual way, educated and all that, and she was following him. She got all the benefit. She doesn't have to worry. She cooks nice food, she takes care of the child. Taking care of child and household is a full-time job. It's amazing how much work that is. It's amazing. So she doesn't need to do anything else. And this is according to her nature. She's happy, yes. I take care of my child, I cook. Try to keep it as clean as possible. This is very difficult. This is the third thing in our household, a little bit lacking. Because if you clean up something 2 minutes later, he comes and so, yeah, okay, don't clean it at all. It's maybe not the solution, but sometimes. But if that's a perfect situation, yeah, right. So in that sense, sometimes couples should think, should the wife really get initiation now and promise chanting 16 rounds, following all this? If it will be very difficult with the child. If she can manage, all glories to her. But the rounds are in general not so good. Because the child needs 24-hour support. How can you sit 2 hours, Hare Krishna, Hare? Forget it. Forget it. Impossible. Except you have a devote, like a sadhu child who sits next to you and, 2 hours listens to the holy name or something. But you cannot. But somehow or other they can manage, so it's okay. So this is what we hear here. She was helping him, she was supporting. He was just standing on one leg. For 100 years, it said here. 100 years on one leg. And doing pranayama and meditating on the Lord. So now here comes the point on which Prabhupada was focusing. He did not know who the Supreme Lord is, number one. And he did not approach the Lord for a spiritual desire, number two. Third, he approached the Lord to have a son, okay, good, who is wonderful, like the Lord. So he wanted to, in one sense, have the powers of the Lord than him. Because the child is expansion of yourself. It's your mini-me. Your son is your mini-me. This is, my mini-me. Chota aham, I don't know. Chota atma. This is my mini-me. This is sometimes more, sometimes less. No, this is not my expansion. When it does something bad, no, completely the mother. But if something nice, oh yes, this is got it from me. Huh? This is wrong. Should be other way around. Huh? Oh, such a nice child. Yes, all the qualities of the mother. Said the son gets the qualities of the mother, yeah? And the girl gets the qualities of the father. Interesting also, no? So there's a lot inherited. So anyway, so he wanted to have a son like Krishna. And there is where Prabhupada, and this is the point where Prabhupada focuses on. This is not pure devotional service. Here the material desire. If he would have wanted the Lord as his son, like we hear Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous lives, as what was it, Prishnigarbha and Sutapa, they wanted to have the Lord as their son. And every time they got him, like as Vamana and who else? When they came as, at least Vamana, I remember. I think there was a one life before also where they worshipped. No, and it was as Prishnigarbha and Sutapa, they get, Prishnigarbha, wasn't it? Prishni and Sutapa. What were the names?
Yeah, it's Sutapa.
Prishni. Anyway, because there is an incarnation of the Lord, of Vishnu, whose name is Prishnigarbha. I think it was Sutapa and Prishnigarbha means the son, the child, the offspring of Prishni. And this Prishnigarbha came to Dhruva. When Dhruva had the vision of the Lord, this was Prishnigarbha. It's a Vishnu form. Okay, so anyway, they were worshipping Krishna to have him as their son. Why? Because they want to worship him, they want to love him, they want to be together with him. They wanted to serve him. So there was no material desire, no egoistic desire. They were so, convinced and in love with the Lord. They wanted to have him as their son. So, but here, Atri not. And not only that, he did not know who is the Supreme Lord. And then later in the story, I will spoiler now, so those who speak after me, they have to think about something else to tell. They cannot tell this story then again. No, okay, no problem. Sometimes we think, oh, he told it already, I have to tell something else. So we hear that he worships the Lord in an intense way, and then the Lord, better to say the Lords, appeared. Who appeared? Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma appeared in front of him. And he was a little bit confused. So why are three now coming? And they more or less said, yeah, because you were not specific. You were not specific enough. So we all came. We didn't know whom you meant, so we came. And who are these three? They are the Guna avatars, we heard yesterday. And they are also called Trimurti, because they are the three prime personalities to control the universe in a direct way, as we know. They are the Guna avatars. They control the Gunas, the three modes of material nature, which are the most fundamental powers of creation, of material energy. So anyway, so they appeared in front of him, so he was amazed and astonished and bewildered. So why all three? And actually it said then, because he was standing so long on one leg, it seems that, he was a little bit stiff. And he hobbled on one leg towards them and then off for the businesses. He jumped on one leg. And when you read that in Bhagavatam, you think, oh, it's funny. Maybe I shouldn't think it's funny now. But no, it's meant to be funny. It is funny. The Bhagavatam is funny at times. Really, there's some humor inside. Even in this, not just in the translation, also in the original Sanskrit. There are many rhetorical questions, right? There are many kind of jokes inside. We have to just have to get them. And Krishna is joking. In this situation, he was also joking. Because Krishna could have said, yeah, I know he means in the end me, he just doesn't know me. No, okay, I come. No, okay, make a joke. Huh? We all three come. I said, okay, Shiva, Brahma, let's go. Okay, let's make a joke together. They were kind of, playing a joke on him. So, and then they gave blessings. Okay, you wanted to have a son. You were not specific. All of us came. You get 3 sons. And he got 3 sons. Expansions of all of these 3, who were then Dattatreya, what was his, Chandra? I think it was Dattatreya, Chandra, from Vishnu was Chandra, Dattatreya, and Dattatreya from Brahma, and it was Durvasa Muni, I think it was Durvasa Muni from Shiva. You have to read on, keep on reading, it will come. That it got 3 powerful personalities as sons, and they were expansions of all 3 of them. So very powerful sons, very special sons. Yes, so this is, and Prabhupada says, yeah, this is not pure devotional service, so we should focus on this. Huh? What is pure devotional service? High level, very high level. And Prabhupada mentions also then these 4 kinds of devotees who worship Krishna, but who are not pure. That is 7.16 of Bhagavad Gita. Chatur vidha pachante mang chana sukriti norjana arto chigyasu artati gyanicha paratarshaba. 7.16 of Bhagavad Gita, where it says there are 4 kinds of people. Chatur vidha means like 4 kinds. Bhajante mam, bhajante, who worship me. And then he says, and they are sukritinaha. Sukriti, good actors. They act good, they are nice. Because in the verse before there was dushkriti. Namang dushkriti no muda, prabhadyante naradama, maya paritagyana asuram bhavam ashritaha. The verse, this is the more famous verse actually, where there are 4 kinds of people who are dushkriti, bad actors, impious, and they don't want to surrender. And the next verse, sukriti, they are good. And 4 kinds. Arto chigyasu artati, the one who has problems, serious problems, suffering, and he says, oh please Lord, take away the suffering. Then the one who wants to have riches, economic advancement, he wants to have money. And then we have the chigyasu, the inquisitive one. What's going on? What is the world? What is God? And then the jnani, the philosopher, the one who's searching for knowledge, who is really searching not just for knowledge but for the absolute truth. The difference, the Jigyasu is just inquisitive. He's inquisitive in all kinds of stuff and comes through that also to God. He might be interested in God also, but he's more on a... He's not, he's not so convinced like the Jnani. The Jnani really wants to understand the absolute truth. The Jigyasu is just inquisitive. And Prabhupada says these 4 kinds of people, they are materially motivated, but Krishna says then, but they are all good. He says, Udara sarva evaite gyanima tivamematam asita gyana muktatma. What was the verse? But he says, Udara, he says, they are all good, they are all magnanimous, they are all good. But out of them, the jnani is the best. He says then in the verse afterwards. So, and this is also often our motivation still. If you have a problem, probably you will pray to Krishna. You will not say, oh, Krishna knows already, I don't have to pray. He will go, please Krishna, I need this or that. Or will you not? Probably you will. Yesterday, again, Ramananda says he gets all these heavy stories because all the time devotees need something from Narasimhadev. And another heavy story yesterday, that there is one, he got a message from one of his god sisters who said, yeah, my husband or fiancé, he had not a heart attack, Herzstillstand. It's called cardiac arrest. His heart stopped beating. And he's in the hospital and praying for Narasimhadev to save him. Yeah. And very interesting because they were on a walk and he said to her, because he was always, he said, kind of a joking person, he said, this is our last walk together. And then they were on the walk and during the walk his heart stopped beating. Just stopped beating. And then he went to the hospital and they said it's very critical, very unlikely that he will make it. So then Ramananda had to pray. You never know, huh? Heart stops beating from one moment to the other. Just stops beating. What you will do, huh? How old is he? He showed me a picture. He was young. Maybe like me. Maybe a bit older, 50. Didn't look old. No, it was not old. But the point is this, what are we doing when there's trouble coming? No problem. Like in Bhagavad Gita it said, Sukha Dukkha Same Kritva. No problem. I'm equal in Sukha and Dukkha. No problem. Because I'm so absorbed in Krishna, I don't care. Like Srivas Thakur, his son was dying in the middle of the kirtan. And the women were lamenting and all that. And he said, stop lamenting, it disturbs the kirtan. We don't want to disturb Mahaprabhu in his kirtan. but your son was dying. He said, but this is Kirtan of Mahaprabhu, Hare Krishna. Don't bother me. When we do that, we are definitely fanatics. But he is not a fanatic. He is a complete transcendentalist. He viewed everything from a transcendental platform. Yeah, of course. Living and dying, this material world. Okay, it happened to my son now. What to do? You know? He was not hard-hearted, definitely not. He's a transcendentalist, was detached. And then Mahaprabhu, the kirtan was over, and Mahaprabhu asked, what's going on? He recognized the commotion, and they told him, yeah, Srivas Thakur's son was dying. And Mahaprabhu said, why haven't you told me, you know? He said, yeah, I didn't want to disturb your kirtan, you were so much in ecstasy. He said, yeah, but this is, Mahaprabhu took it serious. Yeah. So transcendental in pleasure and in pain is a very high platform. This is just the basic of Bhagavad Gita. I know it is, as a brahmachari there were some worries, but now as a grihastha there's so many worries all the time. And things bother me. Not transcendental. But from another point of view, yeah, how much transcendental can you be if you have responsibility? Okay, you should take on responsibility with a transcendental mindset. Then you can manage it. But everything else would be just irresponsible. I don't care, it's my or something. No, this responsibility for you is very important. You should take it, but in a spiritual way. And this is the art. And this is the challenge. And this is karmasu yoga kaushalam. As I said, this is the art of acting. Yoga means the art of acting. Says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Because he says, Arjuna, go fighting. He doesn't support his renunciation. You would think, not just from a moral point of view, that Arjuna is right, but also from a spiritual point of view. Yes, renunciation is always very good. Leave everything and focus on Krishna. But Krishna was not supporting it at all. So, yeah, so back to this point. Yeah, if we have material desires and we turn towards the Lord, we can do that. We should not. But if you cannot do it, if you cannot not do it, you have to do it. So better do it with Krishna. And it says also in Bhagavatam, yeah, so akama sarva kamuva moksha kamo darati divrena bhakti yogena yacheta purusham param. If you have no desires, desire for liberation, or all desires, sarva kama. Sarva kama means all desires. You should worship the Lord. You should not think yourself unqualified because of your material desires. Because some think like this, I cannot worship Krishna, I have so many material desires. No, I cannot do that. I have to worship Ganesh or something, or Shiva, or no worship at all. No, turn towards the Lord. He will help you. He will help you to figure it out and become free. But if you have no material desires, or if you don't cultivate material desires, it's better, definitely. Prabhupada encouraged brahmachari ashram always. Huh? This was from Canto 2, what was it? 3? I think 310 or something. Something. I have to look it up. Famous verse. So Prabhupada was supporting definitely brahmacharis. Said, if you can do it, it's better. Definitely. If you cannot do it, it's not better because you force yourself. Then become grihastha. Everything good also. But if you can do it, we motivate definitely these devotees who can renounce. But most cannot. Anyways, most cannot. I don't motivate any more young brahmacharis. Yes, do it your whole life because, how to say, history has shown that. And now I was long time brahmachari, so I'm already kind of, doubtful because of my own experience. And I wanted to stay, and I wanted to maybe take sannyas and all that. I was long time brahmachari, very long time. Huh? Yeah, 17 years. But there are other brahmacharis who extended, right, who were even longer. But now they're also in white. My kind of not role models, but those who are new at that time, who were also very long time. Because sometimes you have those who are 2, 3, 4, 5 years max. But those who go longer, over 10 years, even 15 years, you say, wow, this is special, rare, very rare. India, more common, but in the West, rare. So I kind of knew everyone in the West, except for Russia. There are so many other people. But in the West, who is around, and they all changed, even after 20 years, even after almost 30 years. So I think, who can really make it? Rare, very rare. But those who really can make it, yeah, do it. That's the best, definitely, for a spiritual life. But most cannot, so that means be planning how to do it and how to make your life spiritual, even in Grihastha ashram. With your material desires, work out your material desires, and it will work out. Grihastha ashram is a magical ashram, really. Now I can see it. Brahmacharya ashram is also a magical ashram, definitely. It's very powerful and very important preparation. But now I can see how Grihastha ashram really works to purify. It's intense. It should be intense. Brahmacharya ashram is also intense. It was super intense. So the strictness, the book distribution, the preaching, the subordination, all that. Brahmacharya ashram is very intense. Should be. And Grihastha ashram is equally intense. Let's say like that. It's not that Brahmacharya ashram is not intense. It's not intense if you are not doing it properly. There are some brahmacharis, or someone does not do it properly and enjoys the freedom, so to say, but he will not last. Krishna says, no, that's not. Oh, I send you someone who will turn your head and leave very quickly, Brahmacharya ashram, and then you will get it. Yes, yeah. It's very intense. So ashram means intense. It's good, because what is intense? Intense is our ego, because our ego will get smashed. But if there's no ego anymore, everything is fine. If you're humble and tolerant and peaceful, and you will get really, you become transcendental actually, in small baby steps. Become very and mature and all that. And all that combined with your sadhana, so it develops towards Krishna. Yes, so this is our mission. Okay, thank you so much. I don't want to speak too long. Because actually I didn't want to speak at all today. So, Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yeah, I actually said to Advaita he has to find someone else because I had such a throat problem. But then, okay, anyway. Any questions, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your class. Very nice. The theme of the class seems to be revolving around the point of unalloyed, pure devotional service. Practically speaking, we can see virtually in every devotee some impurity, if one really scrutinizingly studies. Yeah. So some impurity. In other words, it's virtually impossible to find a devotee whose devotion is unalloyed. Or it may be unalloyed and they may be acting wonderfully and in so much purity that any small impurity is really eclipsed by their pure devotional service, like our Prabhu's out on traveling Sankirtan. So, but then later, they get overwhelmed or change ashrams and then, they get hit again. By this. So I thought maybe if you could just shortly speak on unalloyed devotional service and how that's best attained, what does one need to focus on? I know it's almost like another class, but perhaps if you could just give us your realizations on that. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. Of course, it should be our goal, it should be what we want. But from my point of view, right now in my situation also, I wouldn't say it's that far away. I just have to accommodate it with my material situation and try to learn to do what I do to do in a devotional spirit. So it's not so much that I have to change much, it's just a mindset. And then it can be done immediately in one sense, just from one sense out external point of view, what I do, and even I do, it's not, let's differentiate between pure because of a purified heart, or pure because of the proper execution of the devotional activity. So this first one, pure heart, we cannot do it immediately, because how? But the proper execution of devotional activity, meaning to have the proper activity itself with the proper mindset to do it for Krishna, this purity we can almost immediately do. We have to just train us doing it. Meaning, okay, I chant no Hare Krishna, I do it properly, I try to do it with the intent to do it for Krishna, I clean the pots for Krishna. You can tell it yourself, oh, it's for Krishna, my Lord, please let it be offering to you. There is a lot of purity already achieved through this kind of mental activity, you can say, but still, to make us conscious of what we are doing. And the first one, this purity of the heart, will come in time, that we can also force to some degree or enhance by being very pakka, actually. And as a brahmachari, of course, the external wasn't there because you have no money, you have no facilities, no enjoyment, you run around in this color, which means I cannot do anything now, especially in the circle of devotees. They will say immediately to me, you are brahmachari, what are you doing? Like once I asked the devotee how fast his car is from 0 to 100, because he had a very fancy car. And he looked at me, why are you interested in that? You're a brahmachari. And I said, yeah, sorry, I just was interested. No, I'm a brahmachari, because he had a Porsche 911 Turbo or something like this, So I was, how fast is it? And he's a Prabhupada disciple also, so he was like, why are you asking this nonsense question? Man, it's your car. Still, don't ask it. It's my car. I'm Grihastha. So anyway, as a brahmachari, you cannot be, except you are in association of devotees who don't care, but in general. And I was like that also, as a brahmachari, with the other brahmacharis, that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't think this, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't. It's true. Yeah. So there is a lot of, how to say, limits, strong limits. So, and then you become Grihastha, and suddenly you can do whatever you like. Actually you can do, except of course you cannot do whatever you like, except you have a wife who also likes to do whatever she likes, and then you can do together whatever you like. But to one degree, to some point, from one point of view, you can do whatever you like in devotional settings, so to say. There's no temple commander, I'm living outside. I'm living outside. And you live outside, everyone is always happy when you're here. Doesn't care if you're not here. So it's always a plus. So you have to be very responsible. But if you have the good training as a brahmachari and you know the higher purpose, you will try your best to do it properly. And actually it's a good test, because you could do whatever you like, but you choose to do something devotional. Maybe not with the highest purity, this or that, or the highest standard, but still, you say, okay, I have now some spare time, I do something for Krishna. Right? So, and I think this is important to see what you really want. Because you could say, I have spare time, I watch a movie. I have spare time, I could, I don't know, devotees anyway cannot do anything, what else can you do, So it's seen what you really want. And I think this is one important point also in our spiritual life. What do we really want? And we act upon it. And what you said about this pure devotional service, we should know what it means and try to implement as much as possible in our life, daily life, devotional life. But it's very difficult because we have to learn to be conscious, I think, what we are doing, and that's why Grihastha, he should do service also, he should give donations, very important, give donations, be detached, all that, be responsible. Yeah.
So in a way, I guess we're really talking about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, right? So we have, in the sense that when Prabhupada was asked, I'm sure you know the anecdote, but he was asked how many. Tomorrow Krishna Maharaj asked him, how many pure devotees are there in ISKCON?
Yes.
And then he asked his secretary or assistant, how many devotees do we have in ISKCON now?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, there's that external purity of simply doing the program, sincerely doing the program with discipline. That is, externally, that's like pure devotional service. You can't do more, you just joined. Exactly. What more can you do, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, but that's actually a very high level. In one sense, it's a high level.
Definitely is a high level.
It's the people that surrender, join Krishna consciousness, and whatever, the first month they're 100% surrender. That's actually a very high level, what they're doing. So, I think, they should be definitely encouraged for that. But on the other hand, when Prabhupada, around the time he was leaving or winding up his Leela, you were saying, yes, I'm, reluctant to appoint any successor gurus, right? So even the most advanced weren't advanced enough for that role, right? And so then we had the history of that. So, there just seems to be obviously a chasm of difference between the external purity or the Vaidhi Bhakti, purely following the program sincerely, which is laudable and should be, obviously that's fantastic. That's the best one can do, right? It's really the best one can do externally. The purification that you're talking about, that takes years or decades or whatever. Or if someone's very fortunate, it can happen in a moment. But generally speaking, it takes much longer. Right? And then one's almost at level of Raganuga. Is that correct? Is that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think Ramananda wants to say something. Just one small thing. Of course, we are very, very, very advanced, extremely advanced compared to those who are not advanced, like majority of the people who is taking part in the program, all that. So Krishna is recognizing that, but this should never be our vision. We always focus on those more advanced than us and see then, oh, I'm actually not advanced. We should never focus on those who are not advanced to see how advanced I am, right? Focus on those who are advanced to see how unadvanced I am.
Their disqualification is not my qualification.
Exactly, yeah. It's not of my concern, yeah. So,
I was what you said in the first half of the class about the son, that he is taking over the duty of the father.
The ideal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think as a family of devotees, as a society, we should actually understand that there is an even higher responsibility, because as Prabhupada said, the next generation and then the next generation, there will be pure devotees. So, we're speaking about raising leaders, not only of this society, maybe even of a larger society.
Yeah.
So it's, and this, I think it comes also with this unalloyed devotional service, because our life has to be somehow a mission. Because sometimes you think, okay, now I'm washing pots, click, I do devotional service now. And now I'm stopping washing pots, click, okay, I do not devotional service, and I can do my Maya. Or, I can be a little bit relaxed, something, you know what I mean. But actually, we should see from the more even sleeping is actually preparation for devotional service. So it's some sort of devotional service. And in this way, I think when we develop more this mindset, then we are a little bit more careful in one sense what we're doing, and then also it's more effective because we can easily connect. I go shopping. Why I go shopping? Because I like to eat this. No, I have deities at home. They like to eat it. Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. What you're speaking about, huge thing.
Definitely, but this is what we have to learn actually in the early stages of Brahmachari ashram, and therefore this ashram is actually so very important.
Yeah.
We cannot imagine. We think it's something for for the neophytes, just come to the temple or something like that. But we should treat Brahmacharis and Brahmacharini ashram, since we're speaking about this, we should treat them with the highest respect, but with the highest strictness. Well, there is potency there in this young people or even elderly people, but that they're really baked right. You have to keep the door shut.
No.
It's like a splint for a broken leg.
With
a broken leg, you need a
Mm.
So it's very strict. It's very.
Yeah.
Then it has to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
No way.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much for your participation, and wish you a nice day in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Joy. You too, nice day.
You too, a nice day. Yes. So.
And I think this person was not on the program. This our last program.
You said it.
Nah, but it was, I think, not so drastic. I think it was some time in between.
No, not that he said, oh, this is our last walk, but not like this,
Yeah,
but a bit.
anyway,
in this.
it's intense, and we are probably